hard way, and the climb may be slow. There'll be moments when the tears freely flow, but you will travel where many blessings where the blessing of faith like a tree grows tall, where each blessing of God is waiting for one and all. And then someday when the long journey's through, as you stand with the night facing you, look back and think back and know that you have helped make His many blessings grow.
You see all those kids? Well, they're Irish, so look out. There may be some trouble. Matter of fact, as kids go, this gang is pretty well behaved. And one of the reasons for that is that big fellow in the black suit they're all tagging after. He's a Catholic missionary. And you're probably wondering, what's a missionary doing around an auto camp in the USA when he could be in Africa or the Fiji Islands? Well, to begin with, Father Frederick is a special kind of missionary. And the folks he deals with are kind of special, too. That elderly lady shaking hands with Father Frederick is one of a group of people called Irish travelers. Several thousand of them who live in tents and trailers and travel constantly, peddling pots and pans, painting barns, and selling linoleum around the southern part of the United States. Over 100 years ago, in 1840, the great-great-grandparents of these Irish travelers arrived in the United States to find that many of their countrymen in the South had strayed from the faith because priests were so few and scattered. By keeping their families together in all their travels and insisting on Catholic marriages for their children, these Irish nomads have at least kept hold of the faith down through the years, although neither they nor their children are too well instructed in Catholic doctrine. In the few months each year that they are camped in the locality, Father Frederick tries to strengthen and enlighten their faith by instructing them in the teachings of the Church through sermons, classes, and everyday conversation. As a member of a religious congregation known as the Missionary Servants of the Most Holy Trinity, his labors take him mostly to out-of-the-way places, to towns and counties, right here in America, where there is no priest, no church, no blessed sacrament. And yet, like most boys who have thought of dedicating their lives to Christ, there was a time when Father Frederick and every one of the Trinity missionaries working in the South today thought that missions existed only in some far-off place like Asia or Africa. But each of these young men begins to learn otherwise on the day he first arrives in Columbus, Georgia. A half hour from here by bus, and he'll be at Holy Trinity, Alabama, where his training for the missionary priesthood will begin. This is a mighty big moment in his life. He may have traveled halfway or all the way across the country. And even though it's just been a few days, all of a sudden, home and family seem very far away. As the young candidate lines up with the other boys waiting to board the bus for Holy Trinity, he suddenly realizes he has arrived, not just at a place of training, but in the mission field itself, the South. What were those figures? Over 800 counties without priests, right here in America. It doesn't seem possible. It won't be long now. Only a few years ago, the trip from Columbus to Holy Trinity was a long, bumpy ride over red clay washboard roads. Now, on the blacktop, it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. Yep, there it is, Holy Trinity. Our young candidate may be surprised to learn that most of these buildings were built from timbers taken right out of the surrounding woods. In fact, Holy Trinity is a regular little town, water system, post office, and its main feature, St. Joseph's Seminary. Looks like the Pony Express coming up right now. Nope, guess it's just one of the farmhands trying to show that the atomic age hasn't entirely done away with the mule. Back in 1921, when Father Thomas Augustine Judge, the founder of the Missionary Servants of the Most Holy Trinity, first came here, all this land was part of an old cotton plantation along the banks of the Chattahoochee River. Isn't that a name for you? Chattahoochee. It's Indian for treacherous waters. It also sounds as if the Indian who named it had a pretty bad cold in the head. Father Judge was convinced that one of the most effective ways a missionary could spread the love of God was by teaching it to the children. So he coined a saying that's practically become a battle cry among the Trinity missionaries. Save the child and you save all. And if Father Judge were alive today, he'd see solid evidence all over the South of how right he'd been. For with the help of young men like our new candidate, men whom Father Judge and others after him taught and inspired and then